Good morning, dear students. Today we will do this important poem, Lines Composed in a Wood on a Windy Day, written by Annie Bronte. Before we begin, let me just give you a few things to help you understand the poem better and why it is relevant and important to you in today's time. So, it was written in December 30th, 1842. It was written during the Victorian crisis of faith, a period which played a major role in poems and literature during the time. The meter may have been derived or got from Thomas Moore's style based on Irish folk song. A meter means the beat the poem carries and the number of words that the poem is made up of in each line, so that it gives this lyrical, it gives this musical note to the poem. So that seems to have been got from Thomas Moore's style based on Irish folk song. The poem is actually based on the true experience of Annie Bronte, a note stating, composed in long plantation on a wild, bright, windy day, was written in hand by Annie Bronte at the bottom of the manuscript, the original script that she had written, and Long Plantation was identified by Edward Chatham, a wood to the east of Kirby Hall towards the river Ouse. This is about a mile north of Thorpe Green place, a place called Thorpe Green. She was serving as a governess and was influenced both positively and negatively as a writer by the time at Thorpe Green she had spent. This may have been written as an experience of her homesickness. She was homesick, she wanted to go back. So she must have spent some time on her own, and this is when she must have written this poem. This poem was first published in Poems by Currer Ellis and Acton Bell in May 1846. Now, this poem tells us about the inspiration that people draw from being close to nature, from feeling as a part of nature, and connecting with nature. Nature plays an important role in all our lives, and you, as students, will understand. You must, some of you may enjoy walks and trekking and being out in the woods and forests and watching the hills or watching the rivers, the lakes, ponds, the wildlife, even simple things such as chasing a butterfly. So nature does play a key role, an imperative, a very important role in shaping our thoughts and expressing our emotions. We cannot deny the fact that we are a part of nature, and being one with nature is a very joyous and happy experience. So here, Anne Bronte, one windy day, had visited a wood, and that is where she was overwhelmed, overjoyed with the experience of being in the presence of nature. So let us now try and understand each line. My soul is awakened, my spirit is soaring and carried aloft on the wings of the breeze. Around me, the wild wind is roaring, arousing to rapture the earth and the seas. What it all means, if you look at the first stanza. Soaring, roaring, breeze, seas. So the rhyme is A, B, A, B. Now look at the first line. My soul is awakened, meaning the poet is saying that her spirit was made conscious. Her spirit was made aware. Her spirit was made alive. She had become aware of her existence, of being the person she was in her spirit. My spirit is soaring, and she felt that her soul, the spirit she was within, that was soaring. Soaring means rising high up, and was being carried high in the air on the wings of the breeze, as if her soul was being carried away by the breeze on its wings. Here, you see, the word breeze is said to have wings. Breeze is treated as a living character, and it is said to have wings, meaning to say in poetry, when a non living entity or a living entity that is not human but is given, and sometimes, gentlemen, boys, please remember, in poetry, when things that are not human, that are not living, and they are given living characteristic features. Here, the breeze is a non living entity, but it is given a living characteristics, that is, it is said to have wings. Then, such treatment in poetry is called personification. 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 It is treated as a person with feelings. So here she says that her soul, her spirit was made conscious, made aware, and it seemed to be soaring. It was soaring, in fact, not seemed to be soaring, but soaring high. And it was carried high up in the air on the wings of the breeze. The breeze, she felt, was carrying away her soul on its wings. Around me, the wild wind is roaring, and she felt that the wind was wild, free, uncontrollable, and it was roaring again. Personification is used because the wind cannot roar, only a lion can. But here, because of its speed, it was creating this roaring sound. So she says, around her, she felt that the wild meaning free, uncontrollable, strong, you understand, was roaring, arousing to rapture the earth and the sea. Arousing to rapture meaning creating an emotion, evoking an emotion, not only in her, but the earth and the seas as well. And she is happy to admire nature, to be in the presence of nature, and she feels totally overwhelmed. 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 Overwhelmed means she is full of this extreme joy. She feels this euphoria. Euphoria. Euphoria means this extreme joy. She is exhilarated. Exhilarated. Exhilarated means she's full of this high, happy feeling inside her. Being in the woods, experiencing the wind, and she feels as if her soul is being carried on the wings of the breeze, and she hears the wind roaring and arousing to gentlemen, meaning creating this emotion, generating this emotion, evoking this emotion, not only in her, but in the seas and the earth as well, evoking, creating this emotion of extreme joy and happiness. Extreme joy and happiness not only in her but also the earth and the seas, and she is happy to admire the beauty of nature, and she feels one with nature. She feels that she is a part of nature. Now, in the next stanza, gentlemen, please follow. The long withered grass in the sunshine is glancing. The bare trees are tossing their branches on high. The dead leaves beneath them are merrily dancing. The white clouds are scudding across the blue sky. Meaning, again, if you look at this stanza as well, the end words of the first line and the end word of the third line, they rhyme: glancing, dancing, high, sky. So again, the rhyme scheme is A, B, A, B. Now, looking at the lines, the long, dry, and shriveled shrunk, grass uh, in the sunshine appeared to be shining bright in the sunshine to her. Again, the dry, shriveled, shrunk, grass that grew wild were all bright and shining in the sunshine. The bare trees, the empty trees seemed to her to be throwing their branches into the air. They were throwing their branches casually, okay, in a happy manner into the air as if to reach out to the sky. That is the meaning of tossing. Tossing means throwing up casually into the air. So to her, again, the grass seemed to be bright and burning. And the empty trees, since it was winter, the trees had shed their leaves and the branches were empty or bare, and to her it seemed that the trees in the wind were tossing, were throwing casually or lightly in the air their branches, trying to reach on high. You understand? Trying to reach out to the sky. The dead leaves beneath them are merrily dancing, and the dead leaves that had shed or fallen, they seem to be dancing with joy in the wind. Again, gentlemen, if you see the empty trees, okay, tossing their branches on high, means here also trees cannot toss their branches, they seem to be tossing. So personification is used here as if they were trying to reach out to the skies. uh, the dead leaves beneath them are merrily dancing. Merrily dancing, how can the dead leaves dance? Only living things such as especially human beings can dance, not leaves. But here the leaves are treated to be dancing happily in the breeze, in the wind. So again, personification is used here. What kind of figure of speech is used here? Personification. Living characteristic or living characteristics are given to the leaves here. They seem to be dancing to her. And the white clouds are scudding, and the white clouds, she observed, they were moving quickly across the sky with short steps as if to keep pace with the wind across the blue sky. So, gentlemen, here the beauty of nature is described, okay, as she observes, as she looks at all the natural elements around her. She talks about the grass and her feelings and how the grass appears to her in the sunshine. She talks about the empty trees, the leafless trees, and their branches tossing in the wind. Then she observes and sees, and then she expresses her feelings of the leaves that had shed and were beneath these empty trees. They seemed to be dancing in the wind to her. And then she had observed the fluffy clouds in the skies. They seemed to her to be scudding, moving quickly with short steps across the blue sky. And all this that she observed, she was filled with the joy again. So she was admiring and describing the various elements of nature: the grass, the trees, the leaves, and the clouds. Next, gentlemen, the next stanza. I wish I could see how the ocean is lashing the foam of its bellows to whirlwinds of spray. I wish I could see how its proud waves are dashing and hear the wild roar of their thunder today. Meaning to say, here she expresses her desire. She was in the woods, but now she expresses the desire to see and know, to see and understand the happiness that would have been infused, the happiness she feels, the same happiness that she was experiencing at that moment. She felt that the wind would have created the same energy, the same exuberance, the same happiness the wind would have created or generated, the same kind of exhilarating happiness, the same kind of euphoric happiness in the waves of the oceans and the seas. And she wished to see how the ocean waves would be lashing in the seashores. I wish, she says, I wish I could see how the ocean is lashing. Lashing means hitting against. Do you understand? Lashing means hitting against, coming in against the shores and hitting. She wished that she could go and see the ocean waves lashing against the shores. And whilst the ocean waves would be lashing against the shores, she wished that she could see the foam of its billows, the waves. She wished to see the, the bubbles formed, the froth that would be formed by these moving waves, okay, coming into the shore and hitting. Billows means okay, billows, meaning waves. She wished to see the foams and bubbles that the waves would form as they would come into the shore with great speed and hit against the shores. And hitting against the shores, they would create this spiraling sprays, droplets of water, and have them spread into the air as they would die down into the shores. Do you understand? Whirlwinds means spinning and spreading fast as the waves would come in. And she wished she could see that. I wish I could see how its proud waves are dashing. And she wished that she could go out to the oceans and seas and wish to see the waves in a proud manner dashing. Again, dashing means hitting against, you understand, the shores. And she calls the waves proud. Here, proud, she feels that the waves are free, The waves are not under any kind of control. The waves are full of energy, strength, uncontrollable, and therefore they are proud of their strength and independence. They are not under any control by any force. They themselves are a force. So she felt that the winds were proud to display their strength and come against the shores and hit against the shores and spray their waters spiraling. You understand? And she wished next. Again, gentlemen, before we move on to the next line, remember proud waves again. Here, pride is given to a non living thing such as waves. So, again, personification is used to make us feel that nature is alive. They have the same emotions as we. And she felt that the waves were proud of their strength and vigor, their energy. So she wished that she could go out and see those proud, huge waves rolling into the shores and dashing against the shores, and hear the wild roar of their thunder today. And she wishes that on that day, at that moment, not any other day, but on that day, she could go and hear the wild roaring sound of their thundering, the thundering sound, the roaring sound of these huge waves coming into the shores, and all that created by the same blowing strong winds. So, gentlemen, please go through all these three stanzas, and in the third stanza she expresses her wish. She was in the woods and she expressed her wish to go into a place where she could, by the seashore, and witness the huge waves and the happy seas and oceans. She felt that the wind that was blowing in the wood at that moment must have created the same kind of joy, the same kind of happiness, the same kind of energy. It must have evoked and it must have infused in the waters in the form of waves, and she wished to go and see the waves rolling, hitting, lashing against the seashores, the waves forming foam and spraying of the water in the form of whirlwinds. I wish I could see, she said, the proud waves, the huge waves dashing, coming and hitting against the seashores. And she wished to hear the wild roar, the wild sound. Again, I repeat, only lions can roar, but here the wind is said to have this characteristic, of roaring, and she wished that she could hear the waves roaring of their huge size that day. So, not any other day, but that day. So, please remember to read the facts that are given on the author Anne Bronte, and do prepare the poem well. Remember that one important aspect that runs through the poem is this feeling of extreme joy, this spiritual awareness, this spiritual awakening the spiritual consciousness that she experiences, this feeling of aestheticism, this feeling of aestheticism that she experiences when she is in the presence of nature. She is in the woods and she is consumed, she is totally taken up by the beauty of nature. You understand? The word is aestheticism, Aestheticism. Aestheticism means this feeling of spiritual bliss, this feeling of extreme joy at the sight of, here in this context, nature. So, when a person experiences and appreciates the beauty in a spiritual manner, we say that a person experiences something called aestheticism. This term is used to describe the appreciating of beauty, especially the natural elements. Here, appreciating the beauty of the wind, appreciating the beauty of the sky, appreciating the beauty of the earth, appreciating the beauty of the grass, the trees, the leaves dancing, and the clouds, and she imagines that the wind must have generated and created the same kind of euphoric and happy feeling in the waters of the ocean, and the waves must have risen up and rolling and coming and dashing against the shores, and she wished that they were thundering and she could hear their roars sitting by the shores. And not any other day. She wishes to do all that on that particular day because she feels that the ocean and the seas must have been sharing the same experiences, the same experience, as her at that moment, which she was going through in the presence of this wild wind, this breeze that was blowing on that day. So please go through it and go through the question answers that I have given. I have explained to you each line. Go through it and try and understand it. Thank you.